let's talk the Piety system in Mythic Odysseys of Theros. This was originally a system that existed in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's lesser known, but it does exist. And they updated it for Theros to actually be impactful in a large portion of the way a Theros campaign, in theory, should be run. So if you want to see what my thoughts are and what it's like, and kind of as I go through it, stay tuned. What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and let's jump into it. But beforehand, a couple things. Some things that you brought to my attention. I did a video on the Triton on how they got dark vision. Well, there was that one ability that Tritons had where they get cold resistance and the ability to be acclimated to deep water like areas and climates, environments. They've since removed that secondary line about being acclimated to like deep, suffering no side effects of like deep pressure or anything. That's been removed. If you look on Volo's guide version, on D&D Beyond, and both of them, they do not, it just says you have resistance to cold damage, nothing else. So anyway, there's that. Second of all, you did also bring to my attention, we'll talk about it, Xanathar's guide is technically legal because they reference the Grave domain and the Forge domain. We'll talk about that in a second. And I have a giveaway going on right now. It is live as of me posting this video. It will run for 2 weeks until the 18th of June. It's a typical Gleam giveaway, but I'm giving away 3 D&D Beyond versions of Mythic Odysseys of Theros. We obviously don't have physical books. I usually do a giveaway of those as soon as something comes out. We don't have physical books, so I'm doing 3 versions of the D&D Beyond, 1, 2, 3 winners who enter. I'll also be doing a giveaway live next Tuesday on my homebrew campaign stream, and next Wednesday live during the stream for Rod of 7 Parts. So I wanted to do this online Gleam giveaway for folks who can't attend live on Tuesday and Wednesday. That will be, again, Tuesday the 9th and Wednesday the 10th of June. Eastern time, we'll be doing a giveaway sometime during the stream to 1 lucky winner. There will be 3 winners who can enter the Gleam giveaway. Anyway, that's enough of that. Piety system. So one thing that's important is we need to kind of very cursorily understand the gods of Theros. So we have this table right here. So we have the god of passage, god of Polis, god of the dead, god of the sun, god of victory, harvest, storm, destiny, horizon, slaughter, hunt, affliction, deception, forge, and the sea. And then again, it's showing if you're going to be a cleric, these are suggested domains and the alignments and the symbol of that deity. So then we roll into piety and what is the piety system. So again, I did a video back in March covering the piety system as it was outlined in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but let's look at it here. So piety has nothing to do with your faith or belief. This person's thoughts and ideals drive them to action in a god's service. Your piety score reflects the actions you have taken in your god's service, actions that the god richly rewards. When you choose to worship a god as a beginning character, you start with a piety score of 1, unless you have the 1 supernatural gift we mentioned in the last video. It increases by 1 when you do something to advance that god's interests or behave in accordance with that god's ideals. The god expects great deeds from their champion, so your piety score typically increases only when you accomplish a significant goal, such as the completion of an adventure, make a significant sacrifice of your own self-interest, or something else that the DM sees fit. Each god's description in this chapter includes a discussion of the god's goals and ideals, which your DM uses to judge whether you earn an increase in your piety score. As a general rule, you can expect to increase your piety score by 1 during most sessions of play, assuming you are following your god's tenet. The DM decides the amount of an increase or decrease, but a single deed typically changes your piety score only by 1 point in either direction, unless your action is very significant. And then it says, as we discussed in kind of the last video, there are 4 thresholds of piety: 3, 10, 25, and 50, and benefits associated with that. If you choose the Oracle Supernatural Gift, as we discussed, you get a different piety score instead of the ones granted by your god. To some extent, piety is its own reward, behaving in accordance with your god's dictates and ideals, but at your DM's discretion, whenever you increase your piety score, you might also get inspiration, is what I meant to say. And then impiety, not every hero chooses the life of a divine champion. Leonin in particular are known for rejecting the worships of a god, and they're recommending that you choose the iconoclast supernatural gift because that gets you basically powers for rejecting a god rather than not being pious. And then there's a section here on changing gods. Whenever you change gods, you lose all benefits granted by the old one, and you start over with 1 piety using the new god. So I'm not really going to go too much into the gods themselves and what causes them to get the, you to gain piety in them, because that's more of a lore thing, and that's not really what I'm here to discuss. I'm more here to discuss the crunchy aspects of the piety system, what it does, how it benefits your character. I'm sure one of the D&D lore folks out there will cover the Theros gods in depth, or it may exist on some Magic the Gathering Wikipedia. So we're going to start with Atreos here, Atreos, I should say, the god of passage, and then we'll see what abilities they get, and we'll go through every god and talk about the different piety scores and which ones are my personal favorites. All right, so Atreos. Let's jump down. So we do have a little section here. Tells you what the typical alignment is. Here, usually lawful, often evil. Suggested classes are cleric, monk, rogue, and wizard. Suggested cleric domains are death and grave, and it lists that it might be Xanathar's Guide to that it is Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Gives you suggested backgrounds: hermit, sage, sailor, urchin. And then we'll get into kind of what you actually get. So you can see here what it takes to get an Atreos' favor. And again, like I said, this is more lore stuff that I'm not really going to cover, but you'll see there's a table here. Here's what devotion and ideals he sort of follows, or they sort of follow, so that you can get an idea of what you can do to increase your piety score. And then you can see here, each god's going to have this section that's earning and losing piety. So I'll go over Atreos's, and then we'll just move on just to give you an idea of how this works. So you can increase your score, piety score with Atreos by providing coins and overseeing burial rites for those slain during a tragedy, ensuring that the deeds and knowledge of someone who has died are preserved, slaying a returned and its associated eidolon, or it will decrease if you deny a dying person their final rites, remove wealth from a corpse or defile a tomb, or aid those who seek to escape from the underworld or who already have. So you're going to have a section in each one of these gods that's going to give you basically these kind of key points. Obviously, things can be above and beyond, and you can work with your DM to decide other things, but that's kind of the kind of key aspects. So now let's get into the stuff that I'm actually going to cover, which is the piety section for each god. So with a piety score of 3+, you get the following from Atreos. You can cast Gentle Repose, requiring no material components, a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier. You regain all uses when you finish a long rest. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability modifier. At 10+, you can cast Speak with Dead, and it looks like it's kind of the same thing, right? It's no material components, once per long rest. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier. 25+, it's False Life, but when you do so, you gain an additional 25 temporary hit points. So False Life is a first level spell, and it gives you 1d4 plus 4 temporary hit points. So for you, it's going to be 1d4 plus 29 temporary hit points. And then lastly, at piety of 50+, you can increase your intelligence or wisdom score by 2 and increase that maximum, the maximum in that score by 2. Next up is Ephara, god of the Polis. Again, we'll scroll down. There's a little picture of her. I like the really starry nebula art that they have for a lot of this stuff. I think it's really cool. So we can see here again who her champions typically are and how they typically operate. So for her, or them, I'm not really sure the genders, if there's genders for these gods or goddesses. Comprehend languages, a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier per long rest. And this is, again, this one's intelligence for the spellcasting mod. And then this is different because it's not all spells. So this is advantage on persuasion checks when you're within a city. In addition, when you fail an intelligence check or intelligence saving throw, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. When you re-roll, you can do this once per long rest. You can cast Morden Cadence Private Sanctum at 25+, once per long rest, and then at 50+, intelligence or charisma up by 2 and increase the maximum by 2. Erebos, god of death. Again, you see the stars. I'm really digging that aesthetic. Piety 3+, You can cast Bane number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier per long rest. Vampiric Touch once per long rest. Okay. At 10 plus. 25 plus. When a creature dies within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your level. And then at 50 plus, Constitution or Wisdom up by 2 and increase your maximum by 2. Heliod, the god of the sun. The stars, man, or whatever. This is kind of... You wouldn't think you would see too many like star aesthetics in the sun god, but there you go. Alright, Piety 3 plus, Bless, no material components. Heliod's blessing manifests as a nimbus around affected creatures, causing them to shed light in a 5-foot radius until the spell ends. So it still functions as the bless spell, and you can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier per long rest, but you also shed light at the same time. And that's something I also like too, because that's like a very small tweak you can make to any spell at all, and it will just become that much more unique and interesting. 10 plus is daylight once per long rest. 25 plus is you have advantage on saving throws against being blinded and resistance to fire damage. And at 50 plus, strength or wisdom modifier go up by 2. And the maximum for those go up by 2. Iroas, I guess, is the god of victory. Some art there. Alright. Piety 3 plus, you can cast Compelled Duel, Charisma modifier times per long rest. 10 plus, Crusader's Mantle, Charisma modifier time per, 1 time per long rest. But in addition, you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. 25 plus, as a bonus action, you can call on Iroas' Blessing, gaining the following benefits for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. Creatures within 30 feet of you can't gain advantage on attack rolls against you once per long rest. And then at 50 plus, strength or charisma plus 2 and the maximum by 2. Karametra is harvest. Well, this one's kind of different. I like that art. The art in all of this is very good, and typically Magic cards art are usually really good too. Piety 3 plus. As a bonus action, you can invoke her protection. Spectral plants cover you. Again, very thematic. I really like the kind of the role play and visuals of these things. Providing a +1 AC for a minute, once per long rest. You can create food and water. Use that spell once per long rest. In addition, advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. Let's see. By performing an hour-long ritual, you can conjure enough grapes to fill 3 vials, 4 ounces each of wine. Each vial serves as a potion of healing for 24 hours, after which it loses its property. You can use this only once per long rest, and then Constitution or Wisdom by 2, and increase the maximum by 2. So it's interesting because it doesn't seem, again, not that that's always the case, but like some of these seem slightly more powerful than others. And I like that it's not just a carbon copy, right? They're all not just like you get 3 spells, and then the last one is you get to increase your ability score. I like that this one has this. Well, first of all, like this one, you get a spell, but also something like advantage on saving throws against poison, and then you have this weird, like, creating wine potions of healing fun. I like that. Keranos is the god of storms. I've seen a lot of this art going around. 3 plus. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal an extra 1d6 lightning damage to that target. Intelligence modifier times per long rest. 10 plus, when you fail an intelligence or wisdom saving throw, you can re-roll the die, but you must use the new roll once per long rest. 25 plus is advantage on initiative. That's good because that's always on. I don't know how it stacks up versus everything else, though. And then at 50 plus, intelligence or wisdom plus 2 and the max plus 2. Klothys is the god of destiny. 3 plus, cast command, wisdom modifier times per long rest. 10 plus is clairvoyance, once per long rest, and advantage on saving throws versus charmed. 25 plus is can't be surprised, provided you're not incapacitated. And 50 plus is strength or wisdom plus 2, maximum plus 2. Kruphix is horizons. Looks like we got about 6 more. 3+, detect magic, intelligence modifier times per long rest, and the Mage Hand cantrip. So that's interesting because this one now gives you a cantrip too. That's something we haven't seen. Detect thoughts once per long rest and advantage on saving throws versus charm. You can use your Mage Hand to protect yourself. This is cool at 25+. When it's within 5 feet of you, you get a +2 to your AC against ranged attacks. Oh, because the hand's going to grab. That's cool. I really like that. That's, again, simple alterations to existing spells and features like this are very clean in my mind, and they just make things that much more unique. So yeah, the Mage Hand, within 5 feet of you, gives you a +2 to AC. So obviously an Arcane Trickster rogue with this ability, with the invisible Mage Hand and everything, very cool. And then 50+, counter intelligence by 2, maximum by 2. Mogis is the god of slaughter, kind of minotaur looking god. Alright, 3+, cast Wrathful Smite. His blessing manifests as a blood red glow around your weapon, causing it to shed dim light in 5 feet. You cast this spell a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier per long rest. 10+ is blinding smite once a long rest. 25+ is advantage on saving throws against charmed or frightened. And 50+ is strength or con +2, max +2. Nylea is the god of the hunt. Goddess of the hunt, maybe. Okay. 3+, Hunter's Mark, Wisdom modifier times per long rest. 10+, Speak with Animals, Wisdom modifier. 10+ is Speak with Animals, Wisdom modifier times per long rest. Advantage on saving throws against poison. 25+ is when a beast attacks you. You must make a DC 15 Wisdom save. On a fail, it automatically misses, or must choose a different target. 50+, Dex or Wisdom +2, max +2. Pharika, god of Affliction, like the snake. 3+, Ray of Sickness, Wisdom modifier times per long rest. 10+, advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and immunity to disease. 25+, as an action, you can touch a creature and choose one of the following. It regains hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier, and you can cure the target of a disease or neutralize a poison. Force them to make a con save, a DC 15, or for 1 minute, they only deal half damage with weapon attacks. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of their turn. This is also Wisdom modifier times per long rest. And then 50+ is Dex or Wisdom +2, max +2. God of Deception next is Phenax, or Phenax. 3+ is Disguise Self. While the spell's active, your shadow still resembles your original form. Charisma modifier times per long rest. 10+ is just flat out advantage on deception checks. 25+ is when you are hidden from a creature and miss it with an attack, making the attack doesn't reveal your position. And 50+ is Dex or Charisma +2, max +2. Purphoros is the god of the forge. Again, our Hephaestus type guy. 3+ is Shield of Faith, intelligence modifier times per long rest. And you know the mending cantrip. 10+ is Heat Metal. And then you have advantage on saving throws. Heat Metal, once per long rest, advantage on saving throws versus being knocked prone. 25+ is while you're standing and an effect would push you 1 foot or more, you can use your reaction to not be pushed. And then 50+ is Strength or Intelligence +2, the max +2. Thassa is God of the Sea. His art is just so good. 3+ Fog Cloud. It smells strongly of the sea. Intelligence modifier times per long rest. 10+ is Blink once a long rest. 25+ is advantage on saving throws versus being charmed or restrained. And then lastly, 50+ is Dex or Intelligence +2, maximum +2. So that is pretty interesting. So I'm not really sure which one of these. Oh boy, my hair is doing a crazy thing. This is what happens when you fall asleep and your hair gets all knotty and you don't, start the video at one point, then try to do it later and fall asleep. Anyway, It's interesting. I like that not all the gods are created equal, because gods are not all created equal in fantasy settings. And I like that they're all unique and different. What's also probably the most interesting is, if you remember the supernatural gifts that I mentioned in the last video, when you're building a character, you know which god you're going to worship. So you can get into, again, it's not necessarily something that you need to do if you're not like super min-maxy your character build createy type person, but you have your race, you have your class, you have your supernatural gift, and you have your god. So you know that these are all abilities you can have, like if you do well in your piety gain. So you could build a very interesting in-depth character with multiple layers of things by choosing a certain race, a certain class, a certain supernatural gift, and the god that you worship, and really craft this very interesting set of abilities. Like, I can use this skill. Like we said, we could be an arcane trickster rogue, where you get the mage hand that you can cast it as a bonus action, and if you keep it within 5 feet of you, it boosts your AC, and it's invisible, so your enemies don't know it's there. So that's an interesting concept, and maybe there's an interesting race that you could pick from here, and then combo that with the interesting supernatural gift to make it even cooler, more interesting character. Right, there's a lot about those. There's the god of kind of deception. Well, maybe you pair that with like a bard, and you pair that with the new eloquence bard, where you're got the really good bonuses to deception. And maybe you're a satyr, so you've got magic resistance. So there's all sorts of crazy combinations you could do. And I really, really like that, because it's just going to add diversity to the game. Again, in theory, it is only for Theros, right? That's because that's what this is. So I like the concept of this. Again, I did that video back in March covering the generic piety system that was unveiled in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which again is kind of an optional rule. But similar to the supernatural gifts that we saw, I would really, really like to take this piety system and expand this to gods of other realms, right? Like you could do this and expand this to the gods of the Forgotten Realms. That's a significantly more intensive process, because there are so many gods in the Forgotten Realms. But that being said, I think that will be a really good project. I don't think it's something that I'm going to undertake, but I think that would be a really cool project for someone to do and either upload to. I'll probably upload it to the DM's Guild, because I'm sure it would sell if someone were to do they just called it the piety system, so I would call it the Forgotten Realms piety system or something like that. And then just do what we just did here. And I kind of actually did this found a module that did this on the DM's Guild, that basically made feats for all of the different gods. So if you were a devotee to a certain god, you could take a feat that was specific to that god that would give you certain abilities. And that was very similar to the piety system, except there was a feat you would take, and then you'd have those abilities all the time, rather than gaining them by piety. But I also gave, in one of my original campaigns, someone who was very devoted a magic item that sort of leveled up with them as they did things more in line with what their god wanted to do. It unlocked new abilities. So it was a similar concept, and I've stated before that I love divine characters as players, because it's a very good tool as a DM to be able to provide information, to provide direction, and it's also an easy way for them to seek out further character development, because they can just try to become more in favor with their god, and this kind of gives you a statistical system to really explain that. And yeah, I think like I really liked Purphoros, because I think he just got resistance to fire at one point, and that no, it wasn't Purphoros. One of them gave you resistance to fire, and that was the first time we saw like resistance to a damage type. So I really enjoyed that. So yeah, that's the piety system for Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Next time I'm going to cover the backgrounds, and then I'll probably go into, at some point, I'll do the magic items, and I'll do the monsters. I'm not sure if I'm going to cover much more beyond that, but I'll take a look and see what else there is. And then we'll kind of round out this Theros coverage, and then we'll return to our regularly scheduled Nerd Immersion programming. Don't forget to check the links in the description again for that giveaway that I have going on, and be sure to come out Tuesday and Wednesday live in the Twitch chat where a winner will get chosen for that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to all my patrons on Patreon for continuing to support me. If you are a fan and like this Nerd Immersion Pride shirt, those exist on our Teespring store. And for the whole month of June, you can use the coupon code PRIDE to get 30% off anything on the site. I was trying to make it apply to just the Pride gear, but I can't figure out how to do that. So it goes to everything on the site. So enjoy that coupon code for the month of June. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.